Well, before Emily can join us, I'm fortunate enough to be talking to Pitt coach Dan Fisher, who I'll see tomorrow in Pittsburgh. I'm so excited. Penn State at Pitt. What a big matchup. And just ticket sales alone got to get you fired up.
Yeah, I think as of this morning, there was over 7,000 tickets out, and so I think we got a chance to sell this thing out.
Dan, when I was doing the preseason stuff, and I actually typed the sentence, Pittsburgh has been to the last three NCAA semifinals, it was almost like, wait, why doesn't that just jump out at me in the forefront? And then, so it shouldn't be surprising that you're ranked number one and that you're off to a great start. And you've got this great team back with great newcomers. I mean, the whole package. But are you an under the radar number one?
Um, I don't know.
It's kind of weird.
I don't know if I have perspective on that, but I feel like Pitt will always be a little bit under the radar, and I think that's a good thing.
When last we saw you, you had, of course, a reverse sweep to get to the NCAA championships, and you've been there three times. You just had a 6-0 start. The California road trip you took. I would think that this early in the season, that was a real nice way for team bonding, getting everybody together, and then heading into this next phase of your schedule.
It was not the plan to be twice on the West Coast. It just kind of worked out that way, but we were able to get a beach day in, and so yeah, it was good. It was a long time away and not ideal to miss so much class, but I think we always try to do, if we have time, do something other than gym and hotel, and so we took advantage.
You're from out there. Did you have a lot of family checking you out over this past trip?
I did, and we have, I think, 5 girls from California, so we had a really good good fan base, and it was good for those players to be around their loved ones.
I know you got to get to your own news conference, which is coming up shortly in Pittsburgh, but let's just talk quickly about the idea that you're playing Penn State. One thing that's really cool in our sport is how all the good teams play each other. But you against Penn State having such high ranking, it's got to be the highest ranked match of two teams ever in Pittsburgh. Penn State's always, been good for a long time. They have had other highly ranked teams, but this is the most highly anticipated Pennsylvania match in a really long time.
Yeah, I got to think it's in terms of rankings, it's the most high profile, but and there's just a historic rivalry with between mostly based on football, but I know the people in Pittsburgh are pulling for us.
Well, I'm pulling for you because I'm coming to watch, and I can't wait to see you and Penn State. It's going to be awesome. Thanks, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Lee.
From Dan Fisher to Emily Ehman. Hi, Em.
Hey,
God, you sent me a list last night of the matches that are coming up.
yeah.
We're going into the fourth and final weekend of pre-conference, and it's going to finish with a flourish. Starting with, I'm going to Pittsburgh for Penn State at Pittsburgh. Wow, 3-1. Now I know the poll's going to come out later. You and I are doing this before the poll comes out this afternoon. Stanford was so dominant over Texas. I bet it might swing 1-2.
Again, we haven't seen the poll. It's going to come out in a few hours, but to me, Stanford's the number one team in the country. I mean, you've beaten Minnesota, Wisconsin, Marquette. You swept Texas. To me, those wins are a lot better than Pitt's, where you swept Oregon and USC. To me, Oregon's not a top 10 team. I don't even know if they're a top 15 team in my mind. USC is maybe top 25. So to me, that win solidified Stanford as number one. But, the coaches kind of just go off of the last week and if they lost or not. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Pitt at the top still. But again, 1, 2, 3 to me also could be interchangeable with Penn State.
Even so, how cool for the state of Pennsylvania? Because, if you ask the average person, where's the best volleyball? And they go, California. And of course, we know it's probably Texas. And then there's, the pocket of the Midwest. But for this two teams from Pennsylvania, and now granted, Pitt's got, like, for example, a lot of players from California. Penn State's got them from all over. But good for the sport.
Huge. It's massive for the sport. I think, we always talk about Penn State as obviously this powerhouse. You've won 7 national championships, obviously one of the most historic programs, in recent years trying to get back there. But Pitt, really, it's only been over the last 5 years. They've made 3 straight Final Fours, the only program in the country to do that. And to have that good of volleyball in the state is so fun. And, I think we all looked at this matchup in the beginning of the year with Pitt and Penn State and said, oh, this could be fun for teams that are maybe fighting for a top 16 seed. You didn't know how they were going to be coming in. Obviously, Pitt came out bringing back a lot of the same people and incredible. We didn't know how Penn State was going to look with the freshman setter. Both these teams right now just absolutely rolling. I mean, Penn State has looked incredible. They've got to win over Tennessee, swept Louisville, and then reverse swept Kentucky. I mean, this game Wednesday night is going to be so fun, but just in general, Wednesday night is like probably the best night of non-conference volleyball that we've ever seen.
Yeah, well, so we might as well go to it right now instead of wait till the end where we talk about what we're going to do. Go ahead and just tell people, if they haven't looked up, the matches that are coming up in the next 5 days.
Multiple top 5, top 10 matchups. So we have Stanford, Nebraska, which again is going to be a top 5 game. Pitt, Penn State, Louisville, Kentucky, and then Texas, Baylor. So you have 3 essentially 2 top 5 games, a top 10 game, and that's one of the biggest rivalries, and then Texas Baylor, which is always good. It doesn't matter how either of those teams have been doing. So literally, I think the best Wednesday night, the best day of non-con matches that at least I've ever seen.
Yeah. You know how I love to go and find the minutia, but the last week there were some great individual performances. Kaylin Alexander from Hawaii, 38 kills.
My God.
That in itself, over Texas State, which I know you've heard me talk about before. Texas State has a setter named Ryan Torres, and nobody knows who Ryan Torres is. And she's like, right at 6 feet, maybe a shade over, real thin. But in that match, which was 5 sets to Hawaii, 4 kills, 1 error in 12 tries, 52 assists, an ace, 2 blocks, 1 solo, and 10 digs. She's just one of those players. I think she can play in one of our pro leagues when the time comes, or if not, make some money on the other side, the other side of the pond. That's what I meant to say. Kaylin Alexander, though, how about 38 kills, hitting 338. She had 2 aces, a block, and 13 digs. That is like just so stout. And that's just tip of the iceberg. Melanie Parra, did you see her numbers for TCU?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Melanie Parra right now is averaging 5.64 kills a set. She had 73 kills in 10 sets this past weekend.
She's kind of like Skylar Fields of last year, where she's an incredible player on a team that like maybe is a top 25 team, maybe, but I don't really know. Just putting up insane numbers that, anytime you're going to play a TCU, you're going to have to find a way to at least slow her down, because that's going to be the key to beating them.
Yeah. Well, she also has 13 aces. She's got one of the most vicious serves, and she's such a skinny little thing. And she's so shy when you talk to her. So how about Texas Arlington? Well, last week I wore my UTA shirt. Now they're 9-0. And Brianna Ford, who, if you've never seen UTA play, and if you're not a UTA fan, the chances are you haven't. Brianna Ford's really good. She's averaging over 4.5 kills a set. And I think they gave her a little bit of rest yesterday. UConn, best start in program history at 9-0. And how about this? Emma Workmeister. Her friends have got to call her, oh, the Workmeister, but she's averaging over 4 kills a set and having just a great start. And anyway, just your randomness of the day.
Well, and one more I definitely want to throw in. Michigan off to a 9-0 start still. Last season, they won 7 matches total. So the turnaround that they've had with Aaron Virtue at the helm, especially for a coach that missed the entire preseason being in Paris with the Team USA. Super fun for them. And I mean, they were just insanely fun matchups last week. And I know we talk about Creighton a lot and how good Kendra Wade and Nora Sis are. I finally got to see them in person again. I hadn't seen Nora Sis in person because last year maybe I had her early on in her career, but last year when I did their Nebraska match, she was injured. So this was really my first time seeing her in person. And oh my gosh, she was, exactly what I thought she would be. She's like, I think I tweeted this, but she's like my Brooke Nunneveller. Like, I just love watching her so much. She's insane. And then Kendra Wade, her ability to just fly around. I thought they had 2 really good matches. They had pretty much 6 good sets between Nebraska and Louisville, but the team they have to figure out how to start. You can't go down 0-2 against a top 5 team and expect to win. Even if you do crush them in set 3 and set 4, it doesn't really matter. You've got to find a way to start off stronger because Creighton is so good. Their offense is there. They're a really good defensive team. They just need to figure out how to start fast so they don't put themselves in a hole and shoot themselves in the foot.
If you're another team, do you want to play them on a neutral court in November, in December, or whenever? No, absolutely not. Because Kendra Wade is just good, and the libero is that Maddie
Milanovic.
Thank you. Really, really good.
Yeah.
Put them on a neutral court.
Well, Creighton's been trying to find that fire and that, Coach Bernthal Booth talks about finding that edge over the last really 2 seasons. And she brought in Elise Getzinger from Kentucky and Maddie Milanovic from Penn State. And those are 2 players that are the quintessential, like fiery, rah, like let's freaking go guys kind of players. And I think they've added a lot to that team that was pretty like steady Eddie before. Norris and Kendra Wade are for the most part, they don't really get too high or too low. So I think adding those 2 players in the middle and then in the backcourt have really kind of lit a fire under Creighton, and they're really fun to watch.
Well, how about Craig Skinner in Kentucky? Still really good team. Win the spring 2021 national championship. Future Olympian Avery Skinner transfers to Baylor to finish her career. That was, had to do with the degree. And then future Olympian Maddie Skinner transfers to Texas and wins 2 national championships. Creighton is greatly aided by Elise Getzinger. She's having a great start so far. I got her here for
the numbers she put up against Louisville. She led the team with 14 kills and at 429.
Yeah, and she got a whole bunch of blocks as well. She got 35 blocks so far this year. So, and then Reagan Rutherford, the lefty who's swinging from the outside for Texas, and yet Kentucky still has managed to keep itself extremely relevant. So, high fives to them and Craig Skinner.
Totally. And I think Kentucky's, you look at the losses they have to Nebraska, Penn State, and Purdue, all very good losses to top 10 teams, or teams that at least deserve to be in the top 10. Again, don't really know where they fall right now. But I think Kentucky's waiting for that one win to really feel like they can take momentum into conference play. But this is exactly what we saw last season. They had a really tough start. And then all of a sudden, didn't they win like 18 matches in a row or something crazy? So this is the same thing that we saw from Kentucky last year, and they were fine by the time the tournament time came.
How about Wright State? Wright State beat
What
Miami in 4 and then won at Ohio State in 4. Good for them.
I mean, especially Miami, who takes down Texas and then loses to Ohio State and Wright State. It just make sense.
I'm assuming Miami will not be in the top 25 when it comes out later today.
I would also guess
so we both got to watch Stanford and Texas.
Oh my!
And that was an absolute beatdown.
Yeah.
Stanford's number back. 1, Cami Minor. I don't know if you can hear my dog Granite barking in the background, but somebody must be around the house. Granite, we're working here.
I don't hear him.
Cami Minor was just spectacular as a setter yesterday, and so strong. When she jousts or goes over in 2, it's big time.
Yeah. I mean, that match too, just the way that Stanford came out, because we had seen them start kind of slow in matches prior, but their ability to start off strong right out of the gates and then just keep the pedal on the metal and not let up the entire match was insane. I mean, they hit 340 against a good defensive team. That's Texas. They held them to 125. Anytime you hold a Texas team, under 200, that's really good numbers. Skinner has not had the year that we saw her have last year. I will say one bright spot for Texas. I thought Aiden Ames did really well. Their freshman middle, she put up 6 kills, hit 500, 5 blocks. She was a bright spot that I think Texas needed. But on Stanford's side, like what's made them so difficult so far is they don't have, yes, Ellie Rubin is definitely their go-to attacker, and she's absolutely crushing it. I think she's one of the best outsides in the country with the numbers that she's putting up, and passing wise, she's a phenomenal passer. But I think it's also the balance that Stanford has of you can chuck out a ball to Jordan Harvey on the right side and she will put it down. Sammy Francis.
She is having a fantastic start to the season.
Incredible. I mean, her serves too. I think it was either during the Minnesota or Wisconsin match, or honestly, probably both of them in the beginning of the season, but she was just ripping out ace after ace. She's so much fun to watch. So Cami Minor, last year it was like, okay, well, I know I can just chuck it up to Kip and have a bailout. It's really fun to watch the Stanford team because it really does seem like the ball can go to anyone at any given time. Of course, Minor could be like 15 feet off the net and still get a middle of ball. They've just been fun. And I feel like the Stanford team, they seem like they're back.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm watching that match yesterday, even though Maddie Skinner struggled a little bit, thinking Maddie Skinner is going to get set by Cammie Minor in the 28 Olympics in Los Angeles. The other thing about Stanford is that, you got 6'5", 6'6" Sammy Francis in the middle who's playing. When she's healthy, she's as good as anybody. And then Lizzie Andrew, she's just lethal. I mean, what an unbelievable second middle who would be the first middle for almost everybody.
Yeah, I think offensively she's really good. And Kevin Hamley has talked about how she's exactly who they thought she would be offensively. Her numbers defensively are not good enough right now, but a lot of that comes with getting used to the college game. Coming in as a middle, it's so difficult to transition the speed of the game and just the, volleyball IQ of the other players around you because everyone's just as athletic as you are. So she's doing pretty well offensively because she has a really good setter. Those defensive numbers, I think, will get better as the season goes on.
And she's aided by who I think is the best libero. This gets Emily a little bit going, but Elena Ogilvie.
I'm not saying she's not good. She's just not Lexi Rodriguez.
Just like I'm saying, Lexi Rodriguez, she's not. I'm not saying she's not fantastic. There's so many good liberos in this country. We are so overdosed with so many great liberos. I wish we had as many great setters.
Yeah, well, on Wednesday we get to see Ogilvie and Roddy go after it. I mean, yes. I love good.
You have that match, by the way?
Yes.
Good.
Going back to Lincoln. I thought about staying. I was there for 6 days last week and I was going to just stay. And I was like, I have to go home.
Preview for me, even though you're not covering it, Pittsburgh, Penn State. And I can throw out some stuff on Pittsburgh if you'll throw out some stuff about Penn State. But when I've seen her, Jess Maruzik's better than ever.
Oh, I mean, Jess Maruzik's incredible. I mean, she's a player that, depending on how well Penn State does, could be a national player of the year caliber type of player. She puts up the numbers. She's an incredible passer. She's great all around. Their freshman setter, Izzy Stark, has done a great job of not only keeping her involved, but making sure that she's not getting all the sets. So Cameron Hanna on the outside for Penn State has also done a really great job taking a heavy load. And their transfers, Maggie Mendelson in the middle and Caroline Juravicius on the right side, have also done a really nice job there. Love what I'm seeing from Penn State. I think, they're playing a Pitt team that is not only as good as them offensively in terms of matching their production and efficiency, but defensively, they are top 5 in the country in opponent hit percentage. So this is a Pitt team that not only is good and can put a ball down, but they can hold you to a very, very low clip. Granted, Pitt has not played the type of caliber opponents that Penn State has so far, but I think this is going to be a really fun matchup to see kind of what gives. And can Penn State's defense match that of Pitt's? And can they find some holes in the block? The number one thing for Pitt is, are you able to slow down Olivia Babcock? And, pretty much nobody is because she's that good. But if you can't slow her down, can you try to contain all the other attackers and make sure that their middles aren't as involved?
And back to my point about setters, I mean, how amazing in the Big Ten this year to have 2 freshman setters as good as Izzy Stark in Wisconsin, Charlie Verbinger, who by season's end, I think will be as good as anybody. The 2 of them, they're just wonderful. But granted, again, the schedule is not the same for who they've played, but Babcock's averaging 4.06 kills. Tori Stafford's averaging 4.54 kills.
Yeah, Stafford's been huge.
Not too many teams in the country with 2 players averaging better than 4. And
it's crazy to think too, coming into the season, like I don't feel like I heard any chatter about Tori Stafford, and obviously we knew how good she was for the last year, but to have her come out and just put up those kind of numbers on the number 1 team in the country has been insane. I mean, she's getting obviously a ton of sets, and it's really helping Pitt out that they don't have to rely on Babcock as much. So I love that they're also a little bit more balanced, honestly, similar to how Penn State's been with Merzik and getting other people involved.
Yeah, Bree Kelly's in the mix, hitting 486. After
so fun to see her back.
Yeah, tough year. And I don't know that we give enough credit to Rachel Fairbanks. I mean, all she's done is, she's just good in all aspects of the game, and she's directed that team to 3 consecutive national semifinals, which I talked to Dan earlier, and it's like I asked him if Pitt was the most, overlooked number 1 team, I don't know how else to put it, but we both alluded to that.
Yeah, so. No, I agree. I think Fairbanks has done a phenomenal job, especially this season where she doesn't have the weight of also having to hit in those 3 rotations. It gives her free reign to just take control and really be in her zone and take control of that team and that offense. And she's doing really well.
Okay, before we get out of here, because I've got to take my Subaru in for an appointment because the alarm has been going off randomly, and especially during the middle of the night. And the neighbors were talking about it.
God.
I said, geez, you guys got to figure out who that is. I mean, that's rude. Well, I'd been sleeping through it, so it's my car. So I've apologized to all of
You
them.
can sleep through that?
Yeah, well, I got a fan in there, and on the solid part, it probably got me during the good REMs.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
but a shout out to SC State. South Carolina State had lost 130 matches in a row to Division I teams. Finally got a victory the other day, and there's a new losing streak. And Hampton yesterday had a chance to break what was a 46-game losing streak. Got reverse swept.
Oh.
So I think it was Iona, but I can't remember.
Why'd you even tell me that?
To make you sad.
Now we got to end on something happy. Okay, big week coming up. Oh, let's talk about Sunday too. Nebraska Louisville to end non-conference play. The first match ever on ABC regular season. I'm so excited. I think this is going to be an incredible match. It's always fun when John Cook goes up against Danny Busby Kelly, his former player. I think this is a Louisville team that when they're at their best, when Charity Looper's firing, I think Anna DeBeer could literally beat and also beat up any player in the country. They're a scary team.
It was Maryland Eastern Shore. They reverse swept Hampton.
That's like, I haven't even heard of them. No
She's
offense.
Emily Ehman. You can hear her and see her if you watch the intros at the very beginning. They don't show her much after that. But
Yeah, which my grandma is not happy about. I get a text every match and she says, why don't they show you more? But grandma, I don't know.
Anyway, she's on ESPN. She's on Fox. She's on the Big Ten Network. She does Volleyball World in the summer, and she does these weekly Zooms with me. And we have too much fun, and we thank you for watching.